I want to speak to all Americans, and then I'm going to speak to all people of goodwill globally. As you're watching this event happen here in America with the potential impeachment of the 45th President of the United States of America, and all of this gone on over the past 3 years since Tribulation Trump has been elected as president, I want to ask the people of goodwill of the world to lend me your ears. And here's what I want to say to you. I've been on both sides of the aisle. I work with the Tea Party conservatives and everybody else. And I want to explain to you what is going on. All this banter you see going back and forth in the process argument or the charges themselves or the lack thereof of charges or the Mueller report or other kinds of items in the Fox News promoting the conservatives and Trump and the Southern Baptists and evangelicals calling Trump sent by God, and then the liberals and others having a different point of view of the CNN and MSNBC. What's really happening here in America right now is the decline of white supremacy. And not in a way that white supremacy is this vile, hood-wearing, torch-burning, cross-burning white supremacy, but white people in America, settled America, with the Puritans and back in the 17th century, and have ruled it up until recently. And the thing that shocked the bejeebies out of people when a black man, allegedly, Obama wasn't black, but allegedly a black man became president of America before a woman became president, a white woman became president. And you'll have to remember that Golda Meir became the prime minister of Israel, and Margaret Thatcher, the president of England. And then, of course, you've had several women in large, if you're in democratic states that become president, but no white woman has become president in America, but a black man did, and it scared the bejeebies out of the white group that had ruled America by a majority vote and by an economic well-being as well. And so what you see happening now is not whether Trump should be impeached or not. It is not whether he violated the law. Those are things that are being used as the fighting tools and the reason for it. But what is happening here is that white people are no longer in charge, and they're acting like that. Their behavior and demeanor of the conservatives, the Republicans, is that they realize that they're no longer in charge. Now, that's how I say it. I need to let you know that I am not a liberal, I'm not a Democrat. I fear greatly what is coming down the pike, because they're going to get rid of Trump, and the Democrats and liberals are going to take over. You're going to have pro-abortion, pro-gay, pro-anti-Bible. All of that will be what's coming up next. Once you get rid of Trump, that's what's next on the roster. Because the liberals will take over. But what we see here now, and somebody just ought to scream it, is that white folk are no longer in charge. Let me back up. Yesterday, or the day that the impeachment articles were filed by Nancy Pelosi, Lavrov came to the White House and into the Oval Office and stood behind the Oval Office desk, standing over Tribulation Trump, making a public statement that Russia is going to stand with Tribulation Trump to help fight this impeachment with all of their forces of cyber forcing and propaganda that they have, election meddling, that this was a statement from Lavrov and from Putin that Russia is going to stand with and help Trump fight this impeachment with every power that Moscow can muscle. And Trump is sitting there like a little boy as Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia, stands over him and stands behind the Oval Office desk. Lavrov got no business behind the Oval Office desk. He's got no business there. He's got no business there, but he's in charge. Putin is in charge, and Trump is deadly dependent upon them to be able to try to fight and stave off this impeachment process, whether they have to use death threats, out of the closet secrets on members of the liberal and Democrat Party, and bribes and whatever else Russia can use in this dictatorial process of government to stop this impeachment. They said to Trump, I'm with you. But I'm going to let you listen to Tom Nichols, a intelligence security expert on Morning Joe, give a bit of a different type of an assessment of what I've just said about the fact that white people are no longer in the majority. And that's why all of this is happening. That's why Bill Barr has gone gangster. That's why the Southern Baptists and evangelicals have given up Jesus for Trump. I mean, anybody watching this thinking that this is just about a political, if you will, quid pro quo would be baffled as to why not just admit and move on. This is about a white people, and I don't say that with hatred or malice, but this is about a white people who are no longer in power. It's the day of the brown and the black man. I'll let you listen to a white man tell you right here. Mr. Engineer Tom Tillis. Tom.
I think the Barr's activity is really fascinating because I think it gets you inside the psyche of the Trump enablers. I don't really think most of the Republicans in Washington like Donald Trump, or probably most of them don't feel very warmly toward him at all because he's made their life difficult. But I think what you see in somebody like Barr is the notion that if Trump goes down, then the dam breaks, and the socialists and the the Muslims and the overlords take over. That they really see themselves not as defending just Trump, but as somehow, that speech by Barr he really positions himself as saying, this is the line, we are the last line of defense against these kind of leftist hordes. And I think that explains a lot about why people are going to the wall for Trump, because they think this is kind of the last trench, and that if this administration fails or falls, then they're simply wiped out. And I think it's a deep fear about demographic change, about political change in America. I think it's about a Republican Party that didn't bother trying to make an appeal to the next generation of voters and is relying on a demographic that is aging out of the electorate. And so they're simply kind of planting a flag in the trench and saying, Donald Trump's not perfect, we don't like him, but we're going to the wall for him because after him comes the deluge.
Put that down where you can get it. Demographics, meaning the amount or number of people in a geographical area able to vote, as opposed to an opposing different type of group, white people versus brown or black people, that they're aging and that they're dying, and that white people made the fatal mistake, of Republicans that is, to not reach out to include black or brown people into their party. And when George Bush, the second ran, he was able to get 44% of the Hispanic vote. He spoke Spanish, of course, and was reared in Texas. But many people who are pundits now of political understanding say in the next election or the next two elections, Texas, a red state, is going to turn blue, because you've got so many Hispanics there, you've got blacks there, and then you've got liberals, and that white people are just dying demographically. And that's what he just said, and that's what the matter, and that's what this is all about. That's what this fight is all about. And that's why people are advocating the Constitution and yelling and screaming over process and declaring Trump as innocent, because they don't like him. They despise him. But if he goes down, white people go down. And this is the last stand. This is, you might call this the Puritans or the white Americans or the WASP. You might call it their last stand, like Custer's last stand. They are going down. And this fight that they're having now, demographically, they cannot win. And that's what happened to all of my friends and members from years ago during the Obama administration. They recognized that, and the Southern Baptist evangelicals, the heck with Jesus and the Bible, They don't believe that Jesus can deliver them. And they probably, whether they don't believe it, they know that it is not in the prophecy of Jesus to deliver white people and keep them in charge of the world the way they have been over the past couple of 100 years. It's over with. It's over. Now, I don't say that gleefully or joyfully. That's not what I'm saying. Listen, I don't look forward to Pete Buttigieg being president. Do you think I look forward to that? I don't look forward to Joe Biden being president. I don't look forward to that. Or Elizabeth Warren. I don't look forward to pro-abortion, pro-gay. I don't look forward to that either. I'm not going to, when they are in charge, I'm going to be ranting and raving against them. I don't look forward. So I'm not in support of that. But I'm trying to help you to understand this basic truth that, by the way, is not just happening in America, but it is happening all of Europe and Euro-America, whether it be Germany or France or England or Spain or Belgium, Switzerland, Norway, Finland. White people are no longer in charge of the planet. And that's why this fight is so fierce. That's why these hearings are so fierce, and that's why this impeachment is so critical. Listen, if were white people still able to demographically know that they can rule the roost, they would throw Trump under the bus. You wouldn't need Nancy Pelosi to get rid of Trump. They'd get rid of him themselves. And that's why you're looking at people who act like they don't see the elephant. They act like they don't see the crimes that Trump has done. He's a criminal. He's a one-man crime wave. He's a degenerate. The man is a psychopath. He doesn't even realize in what world he's in. Trump is a psychopath who needs to be, his pathological lying, his behavior, his uncouth way of dealing, and he does not, he's unfit to be the president, but that's not the issue. The issue is that he is, and they have got to defend him. So my last statement is this. Okay, so white people are leaving the planet and leaving the demographics and the political and economic wherewithal simply by attrition and demographics to black and brown people. That's just how that is. They can't take their superiority to the grave. They can't rule from the graveyard. They're losing it. It's gone. Trump is the last stand. But my concern here, the thing that I want to point up in my observation of this, were they going to take a last stand to try to somehow or another maintain white supremacy? And I'm not talking about the cross burning, the torch wearing, the hood wearing, the white sheet wearing white supremacy. I'm just talking about a natural order of natural demographics. Why would they choose someone like Trump to be their standard bearer? That's the thing that baffles me. I mean, and why not cut a deal? Why not reach across the aisle and say, well, let's try to work with black folk? But I tell you this, let me take that back, because it wouldn't work. I've tried to work with black folk all my life. I've been black all my life. It isn't easy. And you see what happened in South Africa. It just didn't work out. Nelson Mandela sold out. And there's so much anger at the Zulus and reminiscence of the past apartheid. It didn't work out either. Only Jesus can deal with this, because really, and I'll give the conservatives and the Republicans this much, there is no peace, there is no truce, there is no working with brown and black people on this matter of government, and who only knows what kind of government ultimately we're going to be looking at. I mean, if Al Sharpton is sitting, and he may run for president again. I mean, Al Sharpton is young enough to run for president. Hell, Joe Biden is 78, and he's running. Al is only like 62 or 63. Al can run for president again with Obama's help. Can you imagine living in a world where Al Sharpton is president? It's possible. Listen, Pete Buttigieg may choose him as vice president. You don't know what the hell these liberals or Democrats will do. Buttigieg may say, I want Al Sharpton as my president. That way, he can get the black vote. I'll guarantee you this. The church sisters, the church mothers, the deacons, the bishops, the tongue talkers, the Pentecostals, they will vote for Buttigieg if he picks Al Sharpton as his running mate. And Al is running as Buttigieg's running mate. Can you imagine living in a world like that? Can you imagine me? Where could I go? Who can I call upon if Buttigieg is president and Al Sharpton is vice president? But that's the world, that's the reality that's going to come after Trump. You say, well, Pastor, why are you after Trump? Because he is a despicable individual. And this is the work of Almighty God that brown and black people are coming to power. If you're Japheth, that is to say, if you're white, try to make peace with the Lord on this issue. And he can make a way out of no way. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but he can make a way out of no way. Brown and black people have been underfoot for nearly 300 years, if not 400 years in this nation, and have survived. There's hope yet for the Japheth man to survive when black and brown people are in charge. This is a bit of a news blog we do, looking at spiritual wickedness in high places for the most part, making some observations about it and giving people a biblical foundation to the way of interpreting, rather than have Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham or Janine Pirro or Anderson Cooper or Rachel Maddow or Don Lemon, Rush Limbaugh interpret what's going on in the world. You come to me and I'll tell you based on what the Word of God says. They'll just give you their worldly, sinful view. But the Manning Report will tell you what God has said, whether to say yea or nay, whether to go or to stay. You'll be led by the word of Almighty God. Come to the Manning Report on a daily basis to interpret the spiritual wickedness in high places, because there's plenty of it that's going on. And so I'm the Lord's servant, James David Righteous Rebel Manning, and I'm here to serve you with news and information.